Look at your phone right now. It's some day of the week, Monday, Thursday, whatever it is, and you know exactly how many days until the weekend because a week has 7 days. It always has. It's the one unit of time that feels completely obvious. But here's the strange part. A year? That's real. That's the Earth going around the sun. A day is real too. That's one spin of the planet. A month roughly follows the moon. These are things you can point at in the sky. The week points at nothing. There is no object in space, no orbit, no cosmic event that takes 7 days. The week is the only major unit of time that has zero connection to anything happening in the heavens. It's completely made up. And yet almost every human being on Earth, across every culture in every country, agrees on it. 7 days. No more, no less. So who decided this? The answer is nobody, and that's exactly what makes it one of the strangest stories in human history. Let's go back to the beginning, because to understand the week, you have to understand what the sky looked like to people who had no idea what they were looking at. Picture yourself 4,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia, in what's now Iraq. You're a Babylonian. You don't have a telescope. You don't know what a planet is, but every single night you look up, and you notice something. Almost everything in the sky moves together. The stars form patterns, and those patterns stay fixed. They rise and set as one giant sheet, night after night, exactly the same. Except for 7 things. 7 lights in the sky refused to stay put. They wandered. They drifted against the background of fixed stars, each one moving at its own speed, on its own path. The Babylonians didn't have a word for planet, so they called these the wandering stars, and they could count them on one hand and change. The sun, the moon, and 5 bright points we now call Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. 7 wanderers. 7 lights that moved with a mind of their own. Now think about what that would mean to you if you believed the sky was alive. These 7 things weren't just lights. They were powerful. They were gods, or the homes of gods, moving on purpose. And if there are 7 divine forces ruling the heavens, then 7 becomes the most sacred number there is. But here's what's fascinating. This wasn't just superstition floating in the air. The Babylonians were obsessed with the number 7 in a way that shows up everywhere in their world. 7 gates to the underworld in their myths. 7 sages who brought civilization, and they were the first people we know of who took the roughly 29-day cycle of the moon and chopped it into pieces. Watch the moon for a month. It's new, then it swells to a half, then a full moon, then back to a half, then gone. 4 phases, and each of those phases takes about 7.5 days. So if you want to break the month into natural chunks, 7 is sitting right there, staring at you from the sky. The Babylonians marked every 7th day as special, a day when the rules changed, when certain activities were forbidden, when you didn't do business as usual. Sound familiar? It should, because that idea was about to travel further than anyone could have imagined. And this is where the story takes a turn nobody saw coming. The 7-day week could have easily died in Babylon. Plenty of ancient ideas did. But 2 completely different cultures picked it up and carried it in 2 completely different directions, and neither one knew what the other was doing. The first was the Jewish people. In the Hebrew tradition, the 7-day week became something sacred and non-negotiable. 6 days of work, and then the Sabbath, a day of rest woven into the very first page of Genesis, where God creates the world in 6 days and rests on the 7th. This wasn't astronomy anymore. This was law. This was identity. And crucially, it was a week that never stopped. It just cycled, over and over. 7 days forever, with no connection to the sun or the moon at all. That unbroken rhythm turned out to be the secret to its survival. The second culture was the Greeks and then the Romans, and they went a totally different route. They took those 7 wandering stars, those 7 planet gods, and they gave one to each day. And here's the part that will change how you see your own calendar forever. Look at the names of the days. They're not random. They're a 4,000-year-old fossil hiding in plain sight. In the Roman system, the days were named directly after the 7 celestial bodies. The day of the sun, the day of the moon, the day of Mars, the day of Mercury, the day of Jupiter, the day of Venus, the day of Saturn. Now say the days of the week in English. Sunday, the sun's day. Monday, the moon's day. Saturday, Saturn's day. Those 3 are obvious. But what about the rest? The rest got hijacked. When the week spread north into the lands of the Germanic and Norse peoples, they swapped the Roman gods for their own. Mars, the god of war, became Tiu, their god of war. Tidal's day, Tuesday. Mercury, the messenger god, became Woden, their chief god. Woden's day. Wednesday, which you actually still spell with that hidden D. Jupiter, the god of thunder, became Thor, their god of thunder. Thor's day. Thursday. And Venus, the goddess of love, became Frigg. Frigg's day. Friday. Say them slowly. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every time you say a day of the week, you are speaking the names of ancient gods and the planets they lived on. You've been doing it your whole life and never knew. So we have this 7-day week born from the sky, carried by faith and by planets, spreading across the ancient world. But now comes the real question, the one that proves nobody actually decided this. If the week is just a human invention, if it's not tied to anything real in nature, then somebody smarter should be able to build a better one, right? 7 is a clumsy number. It doesn't divide evenly into the month. It doesn't divide into the year. 365 days does not split cleanly into sevens. From a pure math standpoint, the 7-day week is a mess. So people tried to fix it, and this is where it gets almost unbelievable. Fast forward to 1793. The French Revolution has just torn down the old world. They've executed the king, thrown out the church, and they're rebuilding society from scratch using pure reason and mathematics. They look at the messy old calendar and they decide, we can do better. They invent the French Republican calendar, and it is beautifully logical. 10 days in a week, 3 weeks in a month, everything divisible by 10, clean and rational, and it failed. Completely. People hated it. Under the old system, you rested one day in 7. Under the new one, you rested one day in 10. So the workers were getting less rest, and nobody could sync up with anyone outside of France. Within about 12 years, Napoleon quietly killed it and went right back to the 7-day week. But humans are stubborn, so they tried again. Jump to the Soviet Union in 1929. Stalin wants to boost factory output and stamp out religion, and he realizes the 7-day week with its shared day of rest is standing in his way. So the Soviets invent a 5-day week. Everyone gets a different rest day, color-coded, so the factories never stop running. No shared weekend, no Sunday for everyone, and it was chaos. Your husband is off on the yellow day, you're off on the green day, your kids are off on the blue day. Nobody's ever home at the same time. Families couldn't see each other, friends couldn't meet. The whole social fabric started to fray. The Soviets tried tweaking it to 6 days. That failed too. And by 1940, the most powerful atheist state on the planet, a government that could reshape almost anything by force, gave up and crawled back to the same 7-day week the Babylonians had been using 4,000 years earlier. Think about what that means. Two of the most ambitious, most powerful movements in modern history, the French Revolution and the Soviet Union, both looked at the 7-day week and said, this is irrational, we can do better. And both of them lost. Both of them surrendered to 7. Because here's the thing nobody planned. The week survived not because it's logical, but because it never breaks. The year has leap days. The months have different lengths, but the week just keeps counting. 7, 7, 7, an unbroken chain running back through the Roman Empire, past the Babylonians, thousands of years deep, never skipping, never resetting. It's quite possibly the longest continuously running cycle in all of human civilization. So the next time you're counting down to Friday, remember what you're actually looking at. Not a schedule, not a spreadsheet. You're looking at the shadow of 7 lights that ancient people watched wandering across the night sky. You're speaking the names of their gods. You're keeping a rhythm that no king, no revolution, and no empire was ever able to break. Nobody decided the week should be 7 days. The sky decided, and we've been keeping its rhythm ever since, without even realizing we never had a choice.